The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan. Chad Himes here with, well, I had to think about this one before today. I was working on it. I don't know if it was the whimsical Jillene Snell. I don't know if it was the willful Jillene Snell, or if it was just the wonderful Jillene Snell. But whichever personality you're bringing to this episode, it's still you. Welcome, Jillene.
Can I just say the last one is my favorite?
Okay.
And I wonder if the audience has caught on by now that Chad comes up with a new word for me every single episode. I'm letting the cat out of the bag.
It's not just a new word. I've gone alphabetically.
Descriptor and with a plan.
I've gone alphabetically through, which means my next episode with you is going to be very difficult because it's going to start with an X.
I can't wait. Does that mean that?
I think Jillene just figured out what I've actually been doing this. She's been like, wait a minute. Yes. So next we're going to find out that you are the X-rayed Jillene because there aren't going to be too many X words. Yet, Jillene, let's get to today's topic because we want to keep our episodes to the time frame we talk about. And boy, this is one that I just loved doing some research on. And you were just saying before we recorded it, how incredibly interesting you found this topic that you didn't think you would.
Right.
So what is the topic of the day?
So we're going to talk about sweat or perspiration. And when I think of those two words, I almost cringe. Like it's a little bit.
You start sweating?
Gross. I start sweating. But there's actually a lot of interesting facts behind it.
Yes.
And ones that can actually benefit us. So stay tuned.
Yeah, so since we're in the hydration area, we thought we would talk about probably the single largest cause of dehydration, and that's going to be sweat.
Yeah, I thought it was alcohol or coffee, Chad.
Now, you busted that one in the last episode, Jillene. Good job on that, right? It's sweat that causes us to dehydrate. So let's get a little scientific for a second here, right? So sweating or perspiration, which if you want to be more polite about the term, I guess, right? It's the production of fluids secreted by sweat glands in the skin on all mammals.
Okay,
so mammals
not
sweat.
just humans.
Not just us.
Right.
There are two types of glands. You want me to hit these, Jillene?
Yeah, see if you can get the pronunciation
correct. So we got the
correct.
eccrine and the apocrine glands in the body. Those are the two types found in the human. The eccrine sweat glands are distributed over much of your body and responsible for secreting the watery sweat that comes from being hot or increasing your body temperature. This is when you look at someone at the end of a workout, when you look at somebody in the summer out working in the fields, this is what they're doing. The eccrine sweat gland is creating this. The other sweat gland, the apocrine sweat gland, are located in the armpits and a few of the other private areas of your body that produce an odorless, oily secretion, which gets the smell actually from bacterial decomposition. That's why we think people smell when they're sweating. It's not the sweat itself. It's actually the bacterial decomposition on their body.
Yeah, so what's interesting to add to what you said, the eccrine, Dave. Eccrine.
It's okay. We do this all the time on the
on
the Win, Make, Give podcast, right? Eccrine and apocrine.
So with the eccrine.
No, we're definitely keeping this in for everybody. You do not edit this out.
Do edit it. I'm struggling with this today.
Apocrine.
So the eccrine, I got it right this time. It's a watery sort of composition.
Yes.
And it comes from most areas of our body.
Right.
And the apocrine, did I get that right? Yep.
Apocrine.
Actually, that is has a consistency of like earwax. So it's a little bit more like a waxy fluid that comes out. And it's usually comes from areas that have like hair grown during puberty. So that's a fun fact that comes along with that.
There you go. So it's oily. It'll be like earwax, like Jillene is saying, give you kind of that. And it's not the sweat itself that smells. It's the bacteria that's being broken down on your body.
Yeah, what they say is it's actually bacteria's poop, which I thought was a little bit gross. But now we know where the smell comes from.
There you go. So what is it? How does it work? What's going on with all of that? All right. So sweating in humans is the primary reason we do it is Thermoregulation, which sounds like a really cool word, just means controlling our body temperature. Okay? We release water-rich release from those eccrine glands helps us control our temperature. So maximum sweat rates of an adult, get this, Jillene, can be 2 to 4 liters per hour. You could actually be sweating, maximum sweat rates are 1/2 to 1 gallon over the course of an hour.
And this is definitely Chad on a Peloton.
Oh, this is Chad running. This is Chad on a Peloton.
Yeah.
I am a
I have witnessed
sweating
this
machine.
when he was running Ragnar.
Yes.
He was wet. He looked like he had jumped in a pool.
I sweat. And if you go back to the original hydration episode that we did at the beginning, I give you the equation to calculate your sweat loss, which we will post in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/win-make-give. I'll put the equation in there for you to figure out your sweat loss again. I sweat 1 ounce a minute when I'm in active state of needing to control my temperature. So I will lose 60 ounces over an hour.
Okay, so your body's doing this for a purpose. Tell us a little bit about the purpose.
Okay, it's cooling me, right? Evaporation of sweat from your skin's surface cools you. This is why in hot weather or when we heat up due to exertion, more sweat will be produced. It's simple and easy.
Absolutely. So another fun fact that I found in my research is that sweating is actually like the superpower of human beings because we have a lot of skin surface, right?
Yes.
So we have this, more or less nakedness, and out of every part of our body, we sweat. If you compare that to other animals in the animal kingdom, like a dog, for instance, it's covered in hair, and the only place that they achieve the same level of temperature regulation is by panting.
Yep.
So when their tongue's out, it's got that, nakedness to it, and it's releasing the sweat through its tongue and providing room for new moisture to come and continue to fall off the tongue to moderate the temperature. And along with that, when you look at like the evolutionary meaning behind this, is that we were, again, why it's our superpower is if we were being chased by, say, a prey and it was like a hairy animal.
A dinosaur.
Like a bear. Were they hairy?
I don't know, but they would be chasing us. Yeah.
There's something's chasing
They're
us,
cold-blooded,
right?
so they weren't getting hot anyway.
Yeah, and so they would actually, at some point, start overheating, have a heat stroke, and a lot of animals, that's what they do. They get overexhaustion. They have to actually stop to cool down, whereas humans can keep moving and keep running and outrun the prey. So that's the evolutionary sort of story behind it.
Yes, run. Okay, so that's why when you're outside and it's hot, or you take your dog for a walk in the heat or anything, and you come in and you immediately reach for a bottle of water, they don't go for a bowl of water. And we're always sitting there trying to give our dog our response and saying, drink water, cool down. That's not how they control their body temperature. That's why they'll let their tongue hang to the floor and sit there panting. That's what they're doing. Us, we sweat. And we're always sweating. It's just a level of, is it noticeable, the amount of sweat?
Right.
Okay. So let's break sweat down, right? Let's go into the lab and break sweat down. What's in sweat? Well, folks, it's mostly water. Okay, there's very, 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 very small amounts of sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium that are in there. Okay, these are electrolytes that help trigger various responses in the body. So flexing muscles, things like that. And this is why drinking electrolytes is beneficial. We're going to bring you a whole episode in hydration where we're just going to focus on electrolytes. What does that mean? What are they? How do you get them and all that stuff? Okay, there's a small amounts of pheromones, right? So we're putting out that maybe positive smell, that attraction that is why someone smells a certain way to you. You remember grandpa or something like that because he smelled a certain way.
Do you have a smell that brings you back to your childhood?
Oh, I'd have to think about that probably more time than I want to sit here. I can't think of one right now.
Right.
But there's I maybe a pipe because grandpa always smoked one.
Right.
So he smelled of that and it was coming out of him, but that would be the first thought that would just come to mind.
That's a good one.
All right. And then, of course, a very little bit of bacteria, which is what brings the lovely smell to it, which is why antiperspirants and certain types of fabrics can help us prevent this.
And we don't necessarily want to use products with aluminum in it because it actually prevents you from sweating and releasing the moisture that's required to properly cool your body.
Right.
So it can actually do more harm than good. So look at the ingredients before you buy your deodorants.
And before you get on
Choose
your
wisely.
Peloton or go for a run, take off your tinfoil hat. Right? No aluminum on your head. Okay, Jillene will figure that one out later. The rest of you understand the
think
person
about that
living
for
in
a
mom's
second.
basement still wearing their tinfoil hat on their head. All right, Jillene, we have had probably more fun busting myths here as we've been going deeper and deeper and deeper into each of these topics. So this is the one that I loved when it came to sweat that I found. It's that we always have this myth that sweating helps us get rid of toxins.
Yeah, it's, a day after the hangover.
Sweat it out.
Everyone wants to go sweat it out. They go to the hot yoga or the sauna, right? Because I'm going to sweat it out.
That's right. I'm going to sweat it out from
a
all the
common
toxins that are in
belief.
us. Sounds great. I mean, it sounds believable too, right? Because we've got this fluid from our body that it's being produced. Of course, we must be able to get the toxins out of us. Not true. Okay, the liver and the kidneys and the digestive tract, they know their jobs. They filter and remove toxins and waste from your body. Sweat has a lot of health benefits, but none of them are detoxing.
And it actually could make it worse if you're sweating out the electrolytes and water you have left in your body after, say, a night of binge drinking, for example, versus actually just continuing to hydrate and refuel your body. So this is a great myth buster.
So let's talk about some benefits, though, of sweat. Okay, the first one I found was muscle recovery. Okay, so sweat isn't going to help you build muscle. You're not going to build it there, but it can aid in muscle recovery because sweating boosts circulation and does help move lactic acid out of your body, which is what builds up in overuse of muscles, which can alleviate soreness and help speed up your recovery process. Sweat is good for muscles. Okay? Sweat is also good for weight loss.
Right on.
Surprise, right? So you lose water during any sort of workout, and that's going to inevitably come right back, right? Do not go work out and get on the scale and think you just lost 2, 3, 4 pounds. You just dehydrated yourself. You just sweat out that fluid, okay?
The same thing could happen if you took water pills.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
People, and when Ben was in his wrestling days and he put on his rubber outfit or whatever and worked out quickly so they drop a lot of weight or cut weight to make weight, they immediately took a glass of water and that weight went right back on their bodies. Okay? But because your body is working out hard enough to create sweat to cool you down, that means you're probably using enough energy to burn additional calories, which does lead to weight loss.
Okay.
So sweat isn't the immediate result and going, oh, look at me, I got on the scale, I got on the worked out, I got on the scale, I lost 2 pounds. But what it's telling you is your body is working hard enough to increase your internal temperature, which means it has to cool you down, which means you're burning more than the normal amount of calories.
Sure. And I think that's why a lot of fitness instructors and blogs will always say sweat daily, right?
Yes.
That's just a common phrase, sweat daily. So
Sweat.
here's the reason why.
Yep. And we're all going to sweat at different levels, but sweat daily. Okay, we could probably rename movement to sweat on the 15-point plan and say, forget moving, just make sure you sweat daily. You've probably done it, except someone would just go sit in a sauna and think they were doing enough. All right, so Jillene, talk to us about how to fight some of the fluid loss that sweat is causing within us. What's something we can do?
Create a plan where you hit your hydration needs for your body weight every single day. And just have a reminder in your day so you actually hit those benchmarks. So have a way to track it. And Chad, how do we calculate our hydration needs per our body weight?
Half your body weight in ounces.
Right. The second thing would be to avoid sugar and alcoholic drinks, and because they can amplify these effects of dehydration. And just be careful not to drink anything that is really you're not confident that it's going to provide your body with either nutrients or hydration, like juices and, like we said, sugar, and even some of those tablets that they look so tempting and they propose that they're very healthy. It's still great to just stick with water, and you can add some Himalayan salt for electrolytes. So that's a really good idea as well.
Yeah, read the back of that Gatorade bottle before you chug it down thinking that you're hydrating with the right stuff. Okay? They make it taste good.
Yep. And then just don't forget that I think they say about 20% of our electrolytes come from food. So that would be like chicken, fish, milk, yogurt, leafy greens, sweet potatoes, avocados, pomegranates, watermelon. I'm having a banana right now during the podcast. Well, not while we're recording, but before. And that also provides electrolytes. So know that we get it from food as well.
Yes. If the food has moisture to it, you're probably getting some benefit from it other than just eating.
Right.
Okay. Folks, what we want you to understand from today's episode, sweat is good. Don't look at that person sweating and go, oh. Don't feel badly when you're that person sweating. There's nothing more satisfying after a great workout than being able to wring out your t-shirt when you take it off. Because you have just, and Jillene's making the face at me, but you have just sweat and all the benefits that come along with it. We hope this episode ups your energy and takes you to the next level.